Guys, make sure to check out Born Legends Management's Midwest Cook-Up, happening November 17th at 9 p.m. at a venue listeners of the show probably know and love, Your Private Bar in West Des Moines. If you want to see some of the hottest producers here in the Midwest, as well as provide connections for all artists alike, this won't be an event you want to miss. But wait, there's more. We're going to be having a family turkey raffle, as well as a special prize for the winner of the beat battle. Remember, come swing by Your Private Bar on November 17th at 9 p.m. and make sure to give Born Legends Management a follow in the meantime. See you there. Trying to find the next spot for a show or event? Look no further. You know them. You love them. Stutterbox Productions is here to help. They always have an excellent team that is always busy and in motion behind the scenes in the Midwest, and they have plenty of shows lined up. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Stutterbox Productions' Facebook page for all of your needs today. Guys, what's up? This is the McAllister's podcast. I'm your host, always Coleman McAllister. Doing a super solo episode today. It is early in the morning. Molly's sleeping. I'm recording this last minute because I'm a piece of shit. No, I had an episode scheduled previously, but I just had a bunch of personal stuff come up and didn't think that it would be, because there's just sometimes where I have whatever happened during a day, and I really have to judge it to be like, okay, is this going to be a good episode that I'm going to put out, or is it going to be a shit episode? I'm going to put my ringer on in case, because Molly's sleeping right now. She's sleeping right above me, so I'm trying to be a little quiet today for this podcast. This is a little toned down from what you guys are used to, the edgiest podcast in Iowa. The JRE of Iowa, as we've been coined. Although I don't like even like using that. I mean, I do, but like I do because it sounds cool. But I don't know. I don't even like really listen to Joe Rogan that much anymore. I really don't. I haven't watched the last like 5 of those Protect Your Parks because I don't give a shit. It's like that new Bobby Kelly, the Regs. I had to stop listening to that one too because it gets to a point where I feel like there's some people, they make it and they either can stick to themselves, stick to their nature because they understand that's what got them there, or they just try to put on this like face and they try to like, oh, I have to do this, I have to like be this way. And the two leaders of both those podcasts kind of seem to be kind of in that. I mean, I'm saying that right as someone with like 300 subscribers on YouTube, like small potatoes compared to these fuckers. Like what do I, who am I to talk, right? But I'm still entitled to my opinions. But yeah, so I mean, some of the things that I've been, I just thought I would kind of just tune everybody in on some things that are going on behind the scenes. I've been mentioning kind of in the beginnings of the ads. Some of the stuff's kind of happening with that. God, I gotta cut back my smoking. But we have 2 new podcasts that we have started here at the McAllister Studio. And it's been a lot. I won't even lie. I do use my AI slaves to edit these shows, which is a topic we're going to get to in a little bit. But, one of the things that kind of just drove me to do this, and I think I've mentioned it on both of those podcasts, but the Unhinged and Uncensored podcast, Lolo Savage, every Tuesday at 2 p.m. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. This and the one coming up will be our 3rd episode that comes out. And, it's been a surprisingly quick, turnaround in terms of like being able to find our voice and being able to like find that, and we've had practice with the podcast, him coming on my podcast, sure. So I think that kind of helped grease the wheels a little bit. But it's been a really an extremely quick start to like having a flow down, having a knowing what we do, having that all down. So I highly recommend everybody go check that out. It's the title's Unhinged, Uncensored. So you thought this was wild? That's like if you ever have seen Lolo on an episode, you know how it goes. When he comes through. The second podcast that we have, the Guts and Gore podcast, And that's something that I've been talking about with Molly for a while. We originally had a podcast called the Tuesdays with Movies podcast. And that kind of ended up being too derivative, I think. And we wanted to do like everything. Like every kind of movie. We had like, basically we made a list of like our top 20 movies. And we just decided to kind of go through those. So that's what we've been doing with that. And we just put out our third episode, Trick or Treat, which didn't really, it's kind of weird. The first two episodes got a lot of reception, but this one kind of didn't. Maybe it's not as well known as I thought it was. But that podcast has been taking off surprisingly well. Like 10 times better than I thought it would. Like I was expecting that podcast to do shit. That was kind of like the Lolo podcast has been one that I was more focused on. Like, okay, we got like this is the one that's gonna make it, right? And then the Guts and Gore is kind of just, that was more like for fun, me and Molly, right? Just, we're dating, we like to talk shit to each other, we like to roast each other, and it's kind of a good way to relieve the tension, I feel like. Anybody that's having, not that we're having relationship issues, but anybody that is having relationship issues, just start a podcast with your partner and just unload into each other for an hour. It might help. It's weird. I always used to think, it's Always Sunny cast, how everybody knows Charlie and the waitress are, married in real life, and I always wondered. I was always like, how do they like stay happy with each other when they're like just treating each other like shit on set? But in hindsight, I kind of look at it now and I'm like, that probably relieves a lot of tension. Actually, that probably is why the relationship has been so strong, because like they could almost, because you're in a relationship, you get upset with your partner at times, that like if you're in a relationship you're not getting upset with your partner, you have a problem, because like to live with anybody for any period of time, you're gonna run into things where you're just like you're gonna get in each other's nerves, and you're just gonna so it's good to get into that. For us, I feel like just kind of roasting, and we also talk about one of our favorite subjects, horror films, right? I've been an avid, like, I remember the first horror film I really immersed myself in was actually no, this was like the first horror film I ever watched. I think it was the first one I ever watched, was The Shining. And in hindsight, it's amazing that I was even allowed to watch this. I think I watched it I think it was like 13 or 14. And my parents I guess they just had remembered it not being that bad. So, and I was reading Stephen King. I started reading Stephen King at the time. And so they were kind of like, yeah, because I grew up in a really, I've talked about it before, I grew up in a really strict household. A lot of censorship when it came to, the media I was consuming. So, yeah, so I remember like that movie just really struck me. And I've always been a fan of horror. But it's weird. It's not really until recently that I really have kind of been thinking like, I really, like I said recently on a, Infamous Goats, like I think it might be my favorite genre of film, even though I don't like putting films into genres. I really don't, because I think a great film encompasses every genre. So I think it's kind of limiting in a way when you were like, okay, we're going to make a comedy, or we're going to make a drama, or we're going to make a horror. It's like, why don't you just make a film? Like, make a film, tell a story, and then figure out what it is later. Or try to make a story that adds all these elements. Like, that would be my recommendation to approaching a film. But, excuse me, before we get into the meat of this episode, one more thing I wanted to talk about was the Chronic Crusaders. This whole project has been postponed longer than I wanted to. A lot of that's due, I won't even lie, a lot of that's just due to me being a lazy piece of shit. I won't even lie. I've been like that since the beginning. Sorry. But no, I really am. I do really have the goal of at least getting a majority of the writing done by the end of this month. And there's just, I mean, I've said a lot of times a lot of it really just comes down to the money. And some people have generously donated, and that's been awesome. But we need more. What the fuck, cat? So if you need to, or if you want to donate to that, and see that project become a reality, I would highly recommend checking that out. And checking out that link in the description to donate. That cat really threw me off. Fucking Lucifer. We're about to get another one of these motherfuckers too. Now we're gonna have 2 cats whining outside the door. Okay. Nah, he'd be fine. If he whines one more time, I'll let him in. But yeah, I mean, so for those who don't know, Chronic Crusaders, it's a short film that we are currently trying to work on, where Kim Reynolds, we have a superhero, 2 superheroes, 2 like stoner superheroes, and one has like a coming of age story, one's already established, and then they fight Kim Reynolds, who's the main villain. But I don't know. I mean, this rewriting process, that this may get shortened. I don't really know what's gonna happen, because budget is a concern. I want to say, because I originally put down that we would have this done in April of 2020 or 2023. Sorry, April 20th, 2023. That's definitely not going to happen, or 24, I should say. So April 20th, 24 is our original date. God damn it, these fucking animals. All right, guys, we'll be right back. Guys, we're back. Don't get animals. If you want to start a podcast, don't get animals. I'm kidding. But yeah, so please donate to the Chronic Crusaders. That's something that we really need help with, funding. And, I'm probably going to be putting it forth a lot for that. And yeah, so please donate to that. So that's really all we got going on here at the Inquisotor studio right now. I shouldn't say that's only stuff. A lot of stuff. 3 podcasts a week. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to do that. And then we have, a film that we are also trying to produce. So we'll see how those 2 ideas merge. We'll see. We'll see how it happens. We'll see what happens. Guys, this episode should just be called We'll See What Happens. Or Coleman's coughing. Yeah, so one of the topics that I want to cover today, I'm so rusty on these solo episodes, guys. I apologize. The AI phenomenon that is slowly getting crazier and crazier and crazier. I have indulged myself a little bit because I'm making a little more money. I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend it because I'm a piece of shit. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try some of these AI apps. And it's wild, man, because I've been like fiending on it for a while. Like ever since that technology's come out, I've found myself more on the positive spectrum of it, which is surprising for me. Like I feel like I would have been like, if you had asked me 5-10 years ago, I'd been like, yeah, this is the doomsday. But I don't know. I've tended to think that it's not going to gain consciousness. Like the probability is very low anyways. And it's probably just going to remain a tool, and that's going to be a challenge. There's going to be challenges associated with that for sure, but I don't think that's doomsday. However, I think it is crazy the kind of things that you can do. Okay, so here are 2 things I've been finagling with. One is I think it's Kyber, Kaiber, Kyber or something like that. .ai or whatever. But that is an AI that it what it does is it takes music and images and creates like basically like animated like films out of it. And it's not perfect. Like that's kind of the thing with AI that's a little at least at this current time is a little hopeful, is that's not perfect. Like you can always kind of tell that it's AI. And that's good. that we can tell. When we start to not be able to tell, that's when it's a problem. But I mean, it's weird, right? Because the artist to me, I guess the artist to me is conflicted. It's conflicted because I see the potential, right? You look at this technology and you're like, oh my God, like the amount of artistic ingenuity that this can create is amazing. Like what it can do, like the worlds it can create, like on a screen, like things that, it took the most sophisticated artists that cost however much money to do. I mean, it's now being done by a computer. And I mean, I don't know. I guess when it comes to like the whole, like the strike and all that, when it comes to artists being devalued, I guess it sounds flippant and it makes me sound like an asshole, but like, suck it up. Like, technology is going to be there, right? Technology is going to continue to create, and that's going to displace people. And we as humans, the reason that we have always thrived through history is because we adapt. So adapt. I mean, that's all we can do. That's why, like, instead of me sitting here and like riding up against the podcast, riding up against AI, I've actually used it for myself. I've used it for this podcast. I've used it for creating this art in my own free time. And it's wild. So I guess there's that aspect of it, right? Where I'm kind of I don't really have much sympathy for. And then there's the aspect of, well, am I even really being an artist at this point? Like, right? Like it, because it's almost like you're just like a gamer, which I know people can make the argument that that's art. I mean, gaming is art, but like actually playing the game, like there's a difference between creating the game and playing the game, right? Like I think creating the game is being the artist, like putting in the graphics, putting in the story, all that. Like that's you being the artist. But playing the game, I don't think if you play a game that makes you an artist. I think that's crazy. That's a ridiculous correlation. And I kind of have had the same thought with AI. Like, is me putting in prompts to create something, like even if it's a good idea, right? Like even like, because there have been things where it's like, oh, this actually worked really well with the song. For instance, right now I'm doing kind of Mac Miller's Faces. Excuse me, which I probably consider my favorite project, my favorite hip hop project, maybe my album. Maybe I don't know about all time, but like at least currently right now in the last like 2 years, that's been like, well, not longer than that, 5-7 years. Like that's just been my go-to album. Like it's just a beautiful project. So I've been kind of plugging that into AI. And what I did is I just started with the cover art, which if you've seen that, it's like that, the really ambiguous surrealist artwork. And then I just took I've gone through the album. I've taken every it'll play through, it'll create the video. I'll take that last frame, put it on the next video, and then just put the next song to that and just watch it grow and unfold. And you watch all the scenes change, the colors change. You can put different settings into it. It's really cool, right? Like I can do all these things, but there's a difference between me spending 3 minutes putting something into a program and me taking a piece of paper and spending 8 to 20 hours making some beautiful, intricate penciled ink sketch or whatever, right? And I mean, I feel like that's going to become more of a hobby. Like I feel like it almost feels like everything that we're doing, that our generation is doing artistic wise, it's just going to be a hobby. It's just going to become, like the whole idea of being able to be like for rap, for instance, right? Like the idea of being able to be like an Eminem or Lil Wayne or whatever. I think that's just going to be gone. Like that's just not going to exist anymore. I mean, if AI doesn't, perfect that and, is able to just do that on a computer and devalue that. I mean, even if that doesn't happen, like it's just going to get to a point where the internet just produces so much content that it's like Andy Warhol said, fame's going to be reduced to 15 minutes. Like I truly believe we're there right now. And doing these creative endeavors, either for me or like other people, it almost kind of seems like an endless trap. Not even a trap, just like an endless, like everybody's going to think that they're going to achieve those spots of like Drake or Lil Wayne or whatever. Like everybody's going to have that dream and nobody's going to make it. And like fewer and fewer people are going to make it. And I think it's going to displace a lot of people. It's going to displace a lot of people in our generation. Like I feel like this generation is just a dreamer generation. My generation, younger generations, they're dreamer generations. They want the glamorous, right? I mean, whether or not they're willing to put in the work or if they know how to get there, I just don't think it's going to be available. Anyways, this is a long tangent. This is the podcast, everybody. This is the Macau Stars podcast, the Edgies podcast in the Midwest. But yeah, and then the other thing is just like create, like the ability to create images, right? To just like tell an AI, hey, make this photorealistic image. And I mean, it can essentially create porn. I mean, even on the apps that like do not have all the sensors, have all the filters, you can still fucking do it. You can get around it. And it's wild, man. It's weird. Seeing someone spread their pussy and like have 4 arms and 3 legs, like it's just it's weird. It wasn't even like gratifying in any way. It was honestly just like me playing with it. It was just like not with myself, with the AI. Like me playing with the AI, it got to a point where you're kind of unlocking your inner fantasies and your trenches of your mind, and it kind of takes you to a place that's uncomfortable, and you're like, I don't want to be here. I want to be grounded in reality. And I think this goes into like VR and AI or whatever, but like just kind of when you like kind of get into that place with AI where you're really just letting your mind wander with it, it's kind of scary. It's a little untethered. And it's freaky, man. And not even about that. Like, just think about like people's getting their identities taken and using for like, like plugging somebody's face into like a porno, right? Or like into whatever kind of type of situation, and just be like framing people or like whatever, like anything in the realm of that. It's just it's not something I've really thought about until I've actually sat down and played with the AI, and I'm like, oh, this is really truly crazy. It's like at this point already, it's crazy how close it's getting. So that's where we're at, people. I don't know how you feel about it. How do you feel about AI? Drop in the comments. So yeah, the last thing I wanted to talk about, and then we'll wrap it up here, is this Inquisotor3 guy. And I kind of went into this thinking, because I didn't really get the full story. I kind of just got clips and snippets on Reels and TikTok and whatever, about this guy. This TikToker apparently killed himself on live stream. He was a cosplayer. He did like the ghost character from Modern Warfare 2, which for people like me who fucking grew up with that campaign, they know that shit for sure. So yeah, it was like at first I thought he was actually fucking with minors, and then from that I was kind of shocked that like people were like mourning him. I was like, what, this guy was he was dating a 17-year-old. But it turns out that this 17-year-old and 2 other people were trying to frame him for being like fucking with a minor. And the 17-year-old, he and her had been talking for a long time, and she was lying about her age, and he even had in his profile that like people under 18 don't message me. And so it's a weird territory, right? First of all, it's sad. Because here's the thing. Being involved with a minor as an adult is like one of the most disgusting things in my mind, that a person can do. And frankly, I have my own opinions on how that should be handled, that are pretty bad. But and that's why when the inverse happens, right? When you have someone who is innocent of something like this and then they get framed for it, how much of a toll that has and how sad that is when that happens. Especially in this weird world we live in. Right? Because like, you know, because the thing about the age of consent, right? Like I'm gonna start saying that it's good that we have an age of consent. It's good that we have a mark at 18 where you can't, you know, have sex with people over 18 at 18. You can't do drugs. You can't buy houses, you know, whatever. Like, it's good that we have this line in the sand. And I think that should be a firm, not even a line in the sand, like a concrete fucking strip, right? Like nothing should cross that point, right? But then but here's the problem, right? When you every time you, and this is inevitable, when you put up a line, that's going to get fetishized, right? So then you're going to have, we're going to have all this 18-year-old porn, and people that are, you know, really close to on either side are going to gravitate towards that. And unfortunately, I wonder if these newer generations are just kind of going to hijack that at some point, right? Like, I don't know. It's weird. I work with kids, right? I like my job right now, which I'm about to be done with forever. Like I take portraits of kids basically for the yearbook. And like, kids are just different now. Like they dress different, right? They like, it's weird. It's uncomfortable. And like, they seem to be weird. I don't know. It's a weird world we live in. And anyways, so it's fucked up. And I do think these people should, I don't know. It's hard. It's difficult because like at one point, like you almost kind of wish that people would have a little more of a radar for that kind of stuff, right? Like if you're 23, like if I was a 23-year-old, I wouldn't have even been fucking with an 18-year-old. I like maybe 19, maybe 20. I guess it can be tough when it's virtual to tell how old they really are. Cause I mean, that's the thing too. Like, you know, people aren't necessarily fully mature at 18, right? So you kind of, and you know, the other way, right? Some people are fully mature at 16. So it's wild to, you know, kind of, I don't know, like if you don't know, right, it can be kind of, it can be kind of hard to judge. And you know, like I said, like you should err on the side of caution every time, right? Like I would hope that like if I was like, I wouldn't even find myself in that situation, right? Or that most people wouldn't even find themselves in that situation. So there's something to be said for that. But ultimately it is sad that, you know, it's sad that he took his life. It's sad that it got to that point, but I guess to take away from this, I think the thing that people should just take away from this more than anything is just be careful. Be careful, and like, you know, the regular mental health, keep everybody's, you know, look out for people, keep your mental health in check. You know, that's something I need to fucking work on. I've been, you know, not doing well on that, but you know, it's hard. It's hard in this day and age to do that. Especially in, you know, 2024, fuck, you know, 2024 is around the corner. And you know that's just going to be a shit year. It's going to be tense, or with people, with family. You know, I haven't been to politics lately, but I'll probably get right back into it. When 2024 hits, I'll probably be right back in that cycle, because every time that happens, I'm into it. I'm sucked in. Guys, Inquisotor3 podcast. This is kind of a shorter episode today. I apologize for that, but yeah, like I said, just had some shit go down and couldn't make the episode happen. But we'll get him back. I never want to announce the guest that I'm going to have on in the future, because I'll look back on some of those episodes that I did, you know, 1 through 50, like, you know, 3 years ago, and I'm like announcing the next episodes. And like I remember one episode I announced like the next 3 guests. And I was like, no, and I was just thinking like none of those people showed up. Like not a single fucking one showed up. Gotta love it. Gotta love podcasting. Inquisotor3 podcast every Monday at 7 p.m. Check out the website, Inquisotor3.com. Check out the Patreon where we have exclusive behind the scenes content. I need to start posting there more. Maybe I should just like do a solo episode after this and just post the Patreon for that. Get on that schedule. Also, we have the Unhinged Uncensored podcast every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and we have the Guts and Gore podcast every Thursday at 2 p.m. So go check those out. Also, please donate to Chronic Crusaders. That's going to be the shit when that comes out. So check that out. All right. Peace. Have a good night, everybody.